Hey girls.
Hi.
Gallery view so I can see. Okay, we've got some more girls joining in. Summer, I always love your background. It always looks so nice.
Thank you. I got a bunch of them, so I like changed up sometimes.
That's so cute. All right, so everyone's just joining in. Let me know if you have something with you that helps you get into your feminine. I'm just going to just for the recording quality. Yeah, let me know in the chat box if you've got something that helps you get into your feminine, or you might want to go grab something now while everyone's still joining in. It might be like a essential oil or some crystals, or maybe you want to light a candle. You might run out and grab like a flower from your garden. Just something that helps you get in that really like feminine energy, okay? All right. Jessica's just joining in. Sarah. Okay. I'm so happy to see all of you. There's Renee. Okay. So I'm going to put it back on the speaker view. All right. So just while everyone's still joining in, I'd love if you could share in the chat box what it means to you to tap more into your feminine intuition. Okay. You got your rose quartz and your oils. You got candles on, hot drinking crystals. Yay. Look at this candle my sister got me. It was like perfect. It smells really, really good. So. Okay, some more joining in. Also, I'm wearing my new necklace that Angela got me. She got it custom made for me. It says Spirit Girl on it. So cute. All right. Okay, so Brianna is saying it means certain actions doesn't have to be logical. I can trust that those actions will work out. Yeah. To feel into my body. To feel into my body and my emotions. I have a white candle and all of my warm colored crystals, rose quartz, smoky citrine, blue agate, a nice warm feeling. Nice. For me, it means trusting and embodying my authentic self, trusting the process and learning to let go. It's following my inner wisdom without doubting myself. Yeah. Tapping into my feminine would really allow me to relax and to trust, which has been a really huge thing for me to work on. Aligning to my highest timelines. You love taking baths? Yeah, I took a bath last night and put like so much essential oils in my bath, and lots of like bubbles, and yeah, really nice one last night. Okay, get your rose quartz and oil, and to trust and be more in feminine. Yeah. Blue lotus oil. Ooh, what does that smell like? I've not smelled that before. Rose quartz crystal and letting in my emotions always be okay. Yeah. Your emotions are a huge part of your feminine intuition and your intelligence. You know, like I always think of emotions or empathy as being energetic intelligence, you know. It's a lot better than being shut off and not feeling nothing, right? Sandy, it means to be more receptive, feel into my body, trust my intuition in the process without doubting myself, and nurturing and pampering myself, feeling feminine. Laura, to allow greater integration of aspects of myself and be in alignment. Yeah. Allowing me to release doubt and fear so I can be in alignment with my higher self. Beautiful. Okay, we've still got a few more people trickling in. Okay, but I feel like we want to get started. So, with today's session, I'm going to go through a bit about feminine intuition and how you can enhance it within your system, and why it's really important. And then I'm going to go into a channeling from Spirit. Let me know yes or no if you've been with me for a channeling before, or if you've listened to one of my channelings. Let me know in the comments. Yeah, so I'm going to go into doing a channeling, and they are going to bring through more directly and probably more clearly their guidance and their messages around how to tap into your feminine intuition and enhance it. And then there's going to be a light code transmission. Has anyone here, received a light code transmission before? Just put a yes or no in the comments as well. A few of you are saying yes, you've listened to my channelings before. A couple of you first time. Okay, cool. Hopefully you're gonna love it. Okay, so a few of you saying not yet in terms of having a light code transmission. A few of you have. Cool. All right. So with the light code transmission, it's really about Spirit bringing through, channeling through these light codes that you'll see. I'll be doing a lot of movements with my hands, and as they're bringing them through, they're bringing through specific light codes for unlocking your feminine intuition within your system. So you can think of light codes as these little energetic keys that when you allow them into your system, they unlock certain potential, right? And they can feel very powerful. So it's really just your job to receive them. Okay. Okay. So yeah, quite a few saying yes, quite a few saying no in terms of experiencing this before. I'm sure you'll love it. It's always good to try something for the first time. All right. So to start with, the whole basis of this and the reason why Spirit has been bringing it through so consistently lately is because we are, having this shift from the old paradigm to the new paradigm, and we're all going at our own pace. But what they're really emphasizing is that for those of us who are empaths and intuitives, those of us who are highly sensitive, we were never designed to operate, purely from our masculine, right? Like we were designed to lead from our feminine intuition. But we have been trying to fit into a world that has been predominantly masculine operated, right? Like maybe just give me a yes in the chat box if you understand the basis of that, because you might notice for yourself that you've felt it for years, that you've always felt, this empathy, this intuition, this, feminine energy about yourself, and that you've just wanted and desired to operate and lead from that space. And it's felt very confusing or resistant or rigid to be conditioned into a world where everyone's trying to operate from the masculine. It's 111 in New Zealand. And so from that, as empaths and intuitives, we get really exhausted. Like we get really, really, really exhausted trying to operate in our system from the masculine, because that's what society conditions us to. That's what other people expect or give us, examples of. But we're just like it feels exhausting, right? I mean, you can see for other people who are more in their masculine energy, they might thrive they might thrive being predominantly in their masculine. They might really love and, get a lot of energy from being in their masculine, and that works for them, but it just doesn't work for us. Have you been feeling that within yourself? Like, you might have felt it for a very long time, you might have felt it more recently, or you might just feel that as you're going into 2021, you might feel that your intentions might be aligned with that you're wanting to come more from your feminine intuition leadership, and that you're not wanting to try so hard to be in that masculine anymore. Yeah, saying I always felt that fight against it, didn't make sense till now. Yeah, even more so now, totally. Yes. Was always told to follow what's logical, yeah. I've always felt that, but that way, but it's gotten stronger as time goes on, feeling it most of 2020, finding it harder and harder to be in a corporate environment now, yeah. Yes, I've always had a hard time with rigidity and structure. This feels much more yummy. Yeah. Yes, the rest and reprocess there, and embodying flow is good. Getting into the fire and aligned action over the last few months has been like pulling teeth, right? Yeah. Yes, I'd always been in the masculine energy, ambitious, high achiever, but when I turned 40, there was a shift and that energy no longer felt aligned. Yeah. Yes, I've always felt confused or out of place because of it. Leaning in feels much better. Yeah, so that's the basis of why Spirit is really wanting to bring all this through, why I'm personally feeling really connected to it and really passionate about it. And I just feel like there's this, like I just feel intuitively that there's so many other soul sisters that I'm connected to that are on a similar wavelength and feeling that. But it's really quite hard to just like snap into a whole different operation in your system, right? Like, you might feel that you're really desiring and really wanting to lead from your feminine intuition and to be in that energy and in that space where, it's connected to your soul, it's connected to your path, it's bringing through all of this support and guidance and insight and clarity, that you're wanting to feel that you can trust it and you can flow with it, and that from that space you can integrate it into your human life, and you can integrate it with your masculine that can then take the action, right? So yeah, it just feels like that's really active for me, for what Spirit's wanting to bring through, and for a lot of soul sisters at the moment. And yeah, especially for 2021. Like, for me, 2021 feels like I just want to simplify and just come from that feminine intuition and just flow. And then when there needs to be action taken, I let my masculine take the action, right? Okay, so thank you for your comments. And the thing is too, as we're moving into this new paradigm, Spirit's really emphasizing, like, it's just not going to work anymore. Like, you're just not going to, thrive if you're trying to, as a empathic, intuitive, feminine being, if you're trying to operate from your masculine, like you've been conditioned to, it's not going to work going into the new paradigm. Like, the new paradigm is so strongly, like, at an even higher level, connected to the energetics of how we manifest, how we experience everything. So it's really important to be coming from your feminine intuition as we go into the new paradigm. Okay. Yeah, and the other thing is, it's not about completely getting rid of your masculine. It's just acknowledging that the masculine has been overriding everything for way too long. You know, we've been conditioned and coded to think that the masculine can just take care of everything. You know, like, put a yes in the comments if you feel like you've been kind of conditioned to think that, oh, you know, the masculine can pretty much do everything. It can, you know, it can make all the decisions, it can make all the choices, it can plan everything out, it can then also take the action, it can be the motivating driving force, and it can, you know, like, we've been coded to think that the masculine can do it all. And it's really, really, really important to realize that we need to wind that back, bring more enhancement and empowerment to our feminine intuition, because she needs to come first. You know, like I said, our feminine intuition is connected to our soul, to our path. Our feminine intuition understands the bigger picture and sees beyond just what's in front of us. She's the one who casts the visions, the desires. She's the one with the creative initiation. Like, she's the one, right? And then the masculine also has its place, where once the feminine, you know, and the intuitive and the creative part of us is ready and clear, we get to then hand it to the masculine, and the masculine gets to serve. You know, the masculine gets to support, the masculine gets to action, the masculine gets to say, okay, so if this is what the feminine intuition is saying, it's not my job to get in the way or tell her, you know, what I think is better. The masculine is meant to, you know, take that from the feminine intuition and say, okay, how can I, you know, start integrating this, implementing this, putting it into the physical. You know, the masculine gets to work out, okay, what's the next step? What's, you know, what's the first step? What's the next step? How do we make it all happen and make sure we're taken care of, right? Masculine also gets to just make sure that as a human we are, you know, surviving. You know, the masculine can make the decision when we go to cross the road, when it's a good time to cross the road, or, you know, all those kind of physical survival things. But it's just coming back to this awareness and knowing within yourself and recoding your system to operate in a way where you know that your feminine intuition comes first. Your feminine intuition is to be given full permission and trust to know what's in alignment, whether you see it right in front of you or not. And then the masculine gets to serve that. Let me know if that resonates for you, if that's feeling like exactly where you want to recode yourself to operate in your system. Yeah, Kelly, she births. Yeah. Yeah. And even just talking about it, or even just contemplating it, can't you feel in your system just so much more ease and harmony and balance, and being able to actually enjoy the process? To me, it really stands out that, like, I would feel so much more energized from that space. Like, I would feel so energized if I was to fully have my feminine intuition leading and just letting the masculine support and serve, right? Yes, yes, yes. I want to trust this intuition more deeply. Yeah. So much more ease. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. So when I visualize living through my feminine, I feel like the pressure of everything of life is off me, and I can breathe and know that everything is working out. Yes. Yes, I'd feel lighter. Beautiful. Yeah, it feels good and not forced. Yes, beautiful. Okay. Yeah, it feels like you're alchemizing more than you're trying, right? Does that resonate? Like, do you know what I mean by that? It feels like by utilizing your feminine intuition and then allowing your masculine to play its role, it just feels like you're going to be alchemizing everything in your life, and you're not going to have to try for anything, right? That's what feels really juicy to me. I feel lighter, like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, it is alchemizing versus producing. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So, the other thing I was wanting to chat about is that because of this conditioning that we've had, you might have noticed that you're quite naturally intuitive, but that you always feel it's hitting a certain resistance because in your system, the masculine has, been taught to have more authority, right? Like, so you might find that you're very naturally intuitive, and that you receive insights, but actually being able to really let them through and really trust them and integrate them is where you feel that kind of glitch in your system of the masculine coming up and being like, excuse me, I don't understand this. And, the masculine getting in the way. Put a yes or no if you've felt that within yourself. Because, yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating when, like, that you're feminine, you're intuitive, that you could lead yourself along your, complete soul path if you were to just really let all of that intuitive guidance come through. But every time it does, maybe every time, maybe not. But you might just often feel like it's coming through, but then, in your system, it's like, glitch, something gets in the way, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can feel it's like an edge that you just want to let go of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's like walking into a glass door. Yeah. Okay, so you all resonate with it. And do you know what I mean? Because you'll hear me talk a lot about like how we operate in our system, and whether we're operating from that feminine intuitive leadership or whether we're operating in our system from that masculine leadership. Just let me know if you understand what I mean by that. And yeah, when you do receive something intuitively, but then the masculine gets in the way, it's like you can feel in your system this like jarring kind of like, yeah, it just kind of to me feels like a glitch, like in the system, just being like, not letting that through. Like being pinched off. Yeah. Yes, I've felt that before. It's been an experiment for me. Doubt comes up, I feel it in my gut. Yeah, so you'll feel it in your system somewhere that like the way that your system has previously been coded isn't allowing your feminine intuition to lead as powerfully as she could, right? So it might present in all different ways for you personally, but it's just acknowledging like, okay, this is because my system has been coded in a way that doesn't allow my feminine intuition to lead. But realizing that when it comes to your system, you are the one who gets to choose your coding once you become conscious of it, right? Like you might not have been able to choose, at a conscious level, your coding from your upbringing or from society. But at this point, when you are conscious of your coding and you are conscious of how you desire to operate in your system, you are the one who gets to choose your coding moving forward, right? So that's what we're going to start on today, and what we're going to really implement in the light codes of intuition. It's when my ego starts to bring in the doubt and fear. Yeah. I also recognize when my ego is taking hold. It's scary how convincing it can be to hold on to old stories. Yeah, but if you can at least observe it, that's a huge amount of power. You know, it's when you're still stuck in an old story that you're not observing, when it's a lot harder, right? So yeah, what we're going to focus on today is how we can, step by step, start recoding your system to operate from that feminine intuitive leadership. Okay. One of the other things you might notice as an intuitive, if you've ever done, like an intuitive reading for someone else, whether you've practiced with other people, you might also find that it's a bit easier for you to tune in for others than it is for you to tune in for yourself. And that's also to do with being a little more coded to operate from the masculine than the feminine intuition. Because when you are when you're bringing through intuitive guidance for someone else, it's part of our conditioning or our coding to kind of just like do everything for everyone else. That's very masculine, to serve and do everything for everyone else, right? Whether it's the divine feminine, the feminine intuition, that's the part that allows us to receive for ourselves, to be nurtured, to be supported, to be guided. So you might notice that too, that sometimes it's easier to read for others than it is for yourself. But as we do this recoding, that's going to really help for you to receive more intuitively for yourself on a day-to-day basis. Okay, thank you for your comments. It's a little bit hard to keep up with all the comments as we go along, but I will have a look through them. Okay, thank you. So these are the 6 main areas that Spirit has outlined as the most important areas for us to begin recoding in order to create that shift within our system. I have been chatting about these 6 different areas or light codes on the podcast. Let me know if you've been listening to the podcast lately. But I want to go through them because they are really, really, really important. Okay. So the first one is surrender. Okay. So let me know how you feel about surrender, and what first comes to mind when I bring up the subject of surrendering. Because with surrender, it's so important, because surrender is the difference between having, this much space for, your feminine intuitive guidance to come through versus this much space. Surrender cracks it wide open in terms of actually opening the space for your feminine intuition to come through, right? It's so important, but because of our previous coding and conditioning, for a lot of people, the idea of surrendering doesn't feel safe, right? Because when we are coded to come more from the masculine, in order to be safe, we always have to be alert and on and, watching everything, right? So in order to surrender, we need to recode our system to realize that it is safe to be in a state of surrender, because we all know that at a soul level. Like if you can put that in the comments, just maybe if you put a yes in the comments, just acknowledging, like, I know at a soul level, I know it's completely safe to be in a state of surrender, right? Like, you know it deep within. You know that being in a state of surrender is not only safe, but it is just like so beautiful. It's like, it's so natural for your soul to be in a state of surrender. It's so natural for your feminine to be in a state of surrender. It's so peaceful. It's, you know, it's so beautiful to be in a state of surrender. But your system is coded to think that it's somehow unsafe to be surrendered, right? Because yeah, if you're more inclined to be in operation of being in the masculine, you think that you always have to be alert and on to things and controlling things and whatnot, right? So in order to start really recoding your system, it is really important to start bringing in those affirmations that it's safe for you to surrender. Like, when I go to do my meditation and I feel myself resisting that state of surrender, I acknowledge that I just need to remind myself that it's safe for me to surrender, and to just be really in that remembrance from a soul level how safe it is to be surrendered, and also just from a like literal level. Like, if I'm here in my soul space and I'm just sitting down to do a meditation and I'm wanting to connect with my spirit guides, like, I'm literally physically safe, right? Like, for some reason my system has that little niggle thinking that there's something unsafe about it, but I know that I am physically, literally, actually safe. Like, nothing is going to happen to me if I sit here, have a meditation, and go into a state of surrender, right? And sometimes it's like as simple as that. Sometimes it's just realizing, like, yeah, like at a soul level, I know I'm safe and that this is a really beautiful experience. And at a physical, literal level, like, I'm actually safe. I'm safe. Nothing's going to happen to me if I surrender right now. Put a yes in the comments if you feel like you needed to hear that, or if that kind of just helped you to take a breath when it comes to surrendering. Like, oh yeah, like, nothing's going to happen to me. You know, like, for some reason our system, yeah, plays this little narrative as if like something might happen, you know, but it's like, actually nothing's going to happen. Like, nothing bad is going to happen to me when I go into this state of surrender. You know, being in a state of surrender is such a high energy frequency and vibration. It's more likely that something really good is going to happen, you know, than anything bad, right? So really consciously, because this is the whole thing, is just becoming conscious of how you can bit by bit recode your system, how you can consciously remind yourself that you're safe, both, you know, at a soul level and a physical level, when it comes to surrendering and breathing into it more, right? That's something we're going to go much deeper into in the light codes of intuition when we are on that module, the light codes of surrender. And we're going to be doing a lot of things, a lot of practices to let go of control and let go of being rigid and let go of having to have your hands on everything, you know. We're going to be going through lots of practices to break that cycle of being in that kind of rigid, controlling mode, because for a lot of us it's like unconscious, you know, like, we go about our day, we go about our routine, we go about doing things in such a way that we don't even realize that we're being rigid and controlling. And so we're going to be doing lots of practices to break that cycle and to become really conscious of choosing to operate more from a space of surrender than a space of control, right? So next is the light codes of connection. So what I feel the biggest thing with connection is that It's our ability to allow ourselves to be supported. Okay, so there's many aspects to connecting with our soul, connecting with spirit, connecting with source, and really enhancing that connection. But what I find is that, it really comes down to whether we allow ourselves to feel supported, right? So let me know in the chat box if that resonates for you, or if that feels particularly strong within you. It might be that you really, practice connecting with your soul, practice connecting with spirit and source, and you really desire more of that connection. But there's this part in your system that just won't fully allow you to be completely supported, right? And to feel supported, because that's the thing is that when we're in connection with our soul and we're in connection with spirit and source, like, there's so much connection, there's so much support, and it makes our ability to lead from our feminine intuition so much easier, and it makes our path so much easier because we're connected, because we're supported. But for a lot of people, because we are coded in a very masculine orientated world, we're told to do it on your own, or we're kind of like praised when we do something by ourselves, or when we didn't need help, right? And we're coded to think that it's somehow weak to be connected and supported, right? Put a yes in the chat box if you feel that that's particularly strong for you. If you might have had parents that are like, do it on your own, and don't ask for help, or don't receive help. Even when people are like trying to help you, you might just feel like, no, like, don't worry about me. And you just feel like it's hard to let that in, right? That's a really, 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 really important part of recoding, in order to really come into that space of leading from your feminine intuition, right? That's something we're going to go deep into in the light codes of intuition when we get to the second module, and we're focusing on this connection. And there's going to be a channeled meditation to help you feel into the frequency of being connected and being supported, and helping you to recode that in your system. But even just from now, you can start noticing more and more often, like, where am I saying no to connection and support where I could now say yes? Even if it feels like something you're not used to saying yes to, or it feels uncomfortable or weird because your system's going like, that's not how we operate. But override the old coding in your system by making these choices, right? A lot of this is about choosing your new coding by making these small, choices and decisions each day, right? So even if it's just someone offering to spend some time with you to make sure that you're okay, to check in on you, whether it's someone actually saying like, I'd like to support you in any type of way, actually practicing like, if I would usually say no to this, I'm going to say yes this time, right? So connection is really important. Next one is receptivity. It's probably a big one for a lot of you. Let me know if that's a big one for you. Receptivity is huge for feminine intuition. For a lot of us, when we're coded more so to the masculine, receptivity is not a natural thing. The masculine is all about doing and taking action. The masculine isn't very receptive, right? So you might feel that in your system, that you really, from your feminine and your intuition, you want and you desire to receive, and you just feel like, oh my God, I just like I'm so close. I'm so close to receiving, and I really desire it, and I would feel so much, fresh air and pleasure and joy in receiving, but you just feel like something in your system is just like, no. And just kind of gets to a certain point where it's like, doesn't let it really come through and land, right? So with receptivity, it's really about how we can start to truly allow in the feminine intuitive guidance, let in the ease, let in the joy of everything that our soul is here to experience, and letting it be easier than we've been taught, right? You're saying, I feel like I want it, but I feel like I'm looking through the glass, but I can't open the door. That's such a good analogy. And with the receptivity, that is a big thing to look at in your day-to-day life, in all areas of your life, because you can't expect to be receptive for that 1 hour or 10 minutes or whatever when you do your meditation, wanting to receive, your feminine intuitive guidance, but yet being unreceptive the other 23 hours of the day. It's really something that we need to look at in our system overall and notice, like, how receptive or not are we, right? So you can start to look at how you can begin receiving more often overall, and it might be things that you don't particularly like, in terms of, like, you might find that you're very unreceptive to other people's opinions, and you don't have to take on their opinions, you don't have to bring it into your system, but how can you be more receptive overall, so being more receptive to other people's point of view without having to take it on. You can be more receptive to compliments, you can be more receptive to people wanting to gift you things, you might be more receptive to your own self-nurturing, you might be more receptive to the really good energy that you feel from other people or places or experiences. You might you're just looking at all these areas overall, and noticing, like, how's my receptivity? Because if you start recoding yourself with all these day-to-day things, and that starts recoding your system, when you go to do your meditation, or you go to connect with spirit, or you go to receive that feminine intuitive guidance, you're going to be a lot more receptive when that time comes. But like I said, you can't expect to be receptive for just that little bit of time and not be receptive throughout the other areas of your life, right? So I find that approach seems to be what Spirit's really emphasizing as a way that people can really tangibly start recoding themselves by looking at all areas and how they're receptive in their day-to-day life, right? And that's a way that will start to really make changes. Because I think a lot of people, when they go to do their meditation, they try to be in this, like, they try to just all of a sudden be receptive, and then they find it hard and they're like, why can't I be receptive? So start looking at all areas of your life and all things throughout the day, and feel into how you can be more receptive, right? Also, another thing that just kind of got pointed out in the comments, when it comes to receptivity, it's about realizing that receptivity isn't about reaching out way out there into the cosmos for energy, guidance, you know, these things that you're desiring. It's about realizing that it's already right there and you just need to let it in, right? Because that's where people get a lot of resistance coming up, is when they're trying to be receptive by reaching out, like, I'm going to go get this intuitive guidance from the cosmos, like it's out there, you know, and I'm reaching. But it's more about realizing that receptivity isn't about reaching. It's more about just realizing that it's right there. It's so ready, like it's, you know, it's right there, it's ready to be received, and you just need to drop the resistance. You know, you just need to drop and open and allow it in, right? Does that give anyone a light bulb? Let me know if that is something that you might have felt within yourself previously, that when you're trying to be receptive, you're like reaching for something, but realizing like, oh, it's actually just right here. It's right here. It's literally like the difference between not letting something in and receiving something is like this is so thin. It's like this thin veil of like, it's either being kicked or it's being received. It's not about it being either way out there in the cosmos or here in your energy, in your field. It's not all that big of a difference. It's like this thin veil of just letting it in. Yeah. Yeah, Jessie saying it's always under your nose, just waiting and wanting to help you. Yeah. Yeah. Because you'll probably notice that with lots of things in life, is that like when you're rushing around trying to figure something out, it's like nowhere to be found. But then when you drop in and get in your feminine, it's like, it was right under my nose, like it was right here. You know, like, but I just did not see it when I was rushing around trying to find it. Have you ever, like, the thing that comes to my mind is like, I've had a couple of times where I've been trying to find my phone and I've been like looking all around the house and I realized it was in my hands. Has anyone ever done something like that before? Or like your keys or something? Like, it might have been like literally like you were already like you were already holding it, but for some reason you got in a tizzy, like in your mind, thinking that you're trying to look for something. The sunglasses, like when your sunglasses are already like on your on your face or on your head. It's literally like that. It's like when it comes to your intuitive guidance, it's right there, this very, very, very thin veil. And when you receive, it's like, it's right there. You don't have to go and reach for anything, okay? So hopefully that helps you to start noticing how you can be more receptive and feel more ease with it, you know, not reaching, but just dropping, letting yourself, allowing it, right? The next one is all about the light codes of clarity. So, you know, and this all works in a really nice sequence. You know, you get into a surrender, you get into that connection, allowing yourself to be supported and guided. You get into receptivity, you start letting it in, and then clarity within your feminine intuition is all about really how you can make space for it to become clear, and very patiently allowing it to become clear, you know, because sometimes you'll get some guidance from your feminine intuition that comes through and it's clear and it lands and you've got it. And then other times you'll be receiving something from your feminine intuition and you're like, I don't get it. or doesn't make sense, or it's not clear at that point, right? And the issue is that we then think that it's time for our masculine to step in and go, okay, well, I'm going to analyze this and I'm going to decide that this is not anything valuable, so out it goes. You know, we expect it to, you know, from that masculine point, we expect it to make sense right now and to be clear right now. And if it doesn't, then it needs to be discarded, right? But when it comes to clarity from our feminine intuition and from that feminine leadership, the feminine gives space patiently for the guidance to become clear, right? Put a yes in the chat if you understand what I mean by that just initially. Because, yeah, you might have felt yourself doing that before where you're like, oh, I got this piece of guidance, but then I jumped in and was like, nah, you don't make sense. See you later. And you feel like your feminine would actually nurture it, hold space for it, and say, I'm sure you're going to make sense. You know, I'll let you fully form. I'll let you blossom. I'll let you come to light in your own timing. You know, what's the point? What's the point in judging it and throwing it away just because you're impatiently wanting it to make sense right now? That's not helping anyone. You know, so you might find that with clarity, it's about recoding your system to allow things to start trickling in, dropping in, without criticizing the pieces before the other pieces have come into place. You know, it's like literally receiving a piece of a puzzle and expecting it to be the whole picture, like the whole, you know, the whole picture, and criticizing it for not being the whole picture and then discarding it before the other pieces could come in and fully form, right? So that's something that we need to recode, is having more of this feminine nurturing space and patience for our intuitive guidance to become clear, you know, because when it comes to our guidance, it doesn't require or it's not limited to time, right? Like sometimes I will start getting a piece of intuitive guidance and I know that it hasn't fully formed yet, so I'm not going to go insulting it and saying that it's, you know, worthless. And it might take like over a few days or a week, and I just kind of let it float there until all the pieces come through, or until I get to a point of feeling into it enough to understand it, in order for it to really blossom and be ready to then be trusted and integrated, right? Give me a yes if that feels like something that you really need to focus on. You know, you might just find that you've been a little critical or judgmental of your intuition and a little impatient maybe, and realizing like, oh, that's just my masculine coding getting in the way and I don't want to do that anymore. And you feel like, oh, you might even feel like, oh, I'm sorry, like I would love to nurture and give more space and allow my intuition to fully blossom before I go making any decisions about it, you know? Yeah, giving it that space, kind of like when someone is trying to vulnerably express themselves to you. You can't take their first couple of words and go criticizing them or you know, do you know what I mean? Like you can't jump in. You need to give that nurturing, patient space for it to all come through. Sometimes that's what your intuition needs of you, right? Yeah, great analogy. Yeah. So just be gentler on your feminine intuition. Let it have its space, its time, and patience to fully blossom. Right. That will gain you a lot more clarity than cutting it off, you know, impatiently, because then you're not getting anything. Right. You literally, if you cut it off from that masculine place of judgment, you are literally getting nothing, and it's only going to have to try come through to you, you know, in a different way, which you might then cut off again. So give it that nurturing space if you really want more of that clarity. The next one is trust, which I know a lot of you have mentioned. I know that a lot of you have felt that you can come from that feminine intuitive space, and you can bring through insights, but then it hits a wall when it comes to actually trusting it, right? Put a yes if that's your like major thing. It's okay to share. So with trusting our feminine intuition, there's a few things. It's really overall about realizing, because I think this is the main thing that we've been coded or conditioned to believe. It's about realizing that trusting your intuition is not a gamble. It is not a gamble that you're taking a risk on, right? It's not. How many of you feel that way, or you've felt that way and you're deciding that you don't want to feel that way anymore? But you might have just noticed, like, in your system, you feel the sense of like, oh, but if I trust it, I'm gambling something. I'm taking a risk. It's not a gamble. It's not a risk. We all know that, but we've been coded and conditioned to believe or think that it's a gamble or a risk. But if you actually just look at it very literally, like, whether you choose intuition, whether you choose logic, neither of them are guaranteed, right? So why don't we think of our logic as a gamble? Why do we think our logic is like a sure thing? Because we've lived long enough to realize that it's not, right? Like, put a yes in the chat box if you're realizing that, even just now, you're realizing like, why do I think my logic is so freaking like safe and secure and guaranteed when I have many times chosen logic only to realize that it was shit? You know, like, it doesn't seem to matter how many times we have those experiences of our logic not working out for us, and we still think that it's somehow the safest bet, right? But there's been so many times, and I know with certainty that you have all experienced a time where you have chosen your logic only to regret it, knowing that your intuition was right all along. Put a yes. I know that you're probably all going to say yes, but put a yes in to the comments. My intuition has always been right. Yeah. So it's like, if you've had all these experiences, realizing like, oh, I knew it intuitively, I chose logic because I thought it was going to be safe, only to realize in hindsight that my intuition was always right. Why is it such a gamble? Like, why is intuition a risk? If I've had all of these experiences, like real life experiences, proving to me that time and time again, my intuition was always there, it was always right. And if I didn't trust it, I only realized that I should have, right? So it's like we just have to snap out of it and become conscious of realizing and recoding ourselves to realize, like, this is not a gamble. I've been proven time after time that it's not a gamble. It's more so a sure thing than my logic has ever been. And I just I don't desire to, regret choosing my logic anymore. I just want to choose to trust my intuition, whether I understand it at the time or not, right? And the other thing too with trust is that we've been coded and conditioned to believe that we must go through this like process of, once we get something intuitively, we then need to make sure it fits within our logical constraints, right? Put a yes if you know that you do that. If you get something intuitively and then you try and fit it in your logical constraints, and you can feel that it's like icky. You can feel yourself doing it and you're like, I don't really want to do this. It doesn't feel good. But you do it anyway because it's coded within you, it's conditioned within you to try and fit something that's intuitive into a constraining logical understanding. And then most of the time, most time, it doesn't fit within those logical constraints. And then for some reason, we think that that's a standard that it has to meet. Like, we think that it has to fit within those logical constraints in order to be legitimate or to be approved. And we have to become conscious that, and we have to stop that process in its tracks, because we have to understand that what our feminine intuition knows at the bigger picture level, our logical mind just doesn't have the capacity, the ability to see it and understand it. You know, our logical mind only understands like what's happened in the past and what's in front of us right now. It doesn't have access to our future self, our bigger picture. So we have to stop letting it be the one that, you know, holds the standard, right? So really, really important to become really conscious of that and start overriding your system, start recoding yourself to realize like, oh, I'm trying to fit that into my logical constraints, but actually my logical mind doesn't have the capacity or the ability to take that in and to understand it, so I'm not even going to ask it. You know, like your intuition's not asking your logic for permission or approval. It never has, but we've inserted that. Like, we've inserted this logical standard upon our intuition, but it was never meant to be there, right? So put a yes in the chat box if that's kind of been a bit of a light bulb for you, or something that you are really excited to become really conscious of and really empowered with. Like, it takes that certain level of like feminine power within yourself to decide like, I'm not asking my mind or my logic for approval or understanding. I'm not. It's not its job, right? And you take that power back, knowing that your intuition is clear within itself and it knows whether it makes sense right now or not. In the bigger picture, it does make sense. And all your mind or logical masculine needs to do now is figure out a way to implement it, to action it. It doesn't need its approval. It just needs to figure out a way to put it into implementation, right? So when it comes to that, we move into integration. So that's the sixth module within the light codes of intuition, is the light codes of integration. So you're integrating what has always been within you, this feminine intuition, and you're giving it full unconditional permission to be integrated into your human experience and to lead and to be honored and served by your masculine, right? Because and put a yes in the chat box if this is you. A lot of us have kept our feminine intuition like only on the inside, right? Yeah, the fifth one was the trust one. So now we're on the sixth one, which is integration. So yeah, put a yes in the comments if you feel that that's been you know, for a while, that you've felt all this intuitive insight, you're feeling like you want it to come through, but you've found it hard to actually integrate it in a way that it comes through at that human level, where it gets integrated into your life, where the masculine actually gets to honor it and serve it and support it, right? Like, yeah, it's normal for us to kind of keep it on the inside and be like, oh, there's a special like gift within me that I just keep to myself, but then my human life doesn't get reflected, right? Like, it's on the inside, but it doesn't come out on the outside. Yeah. So that's what we talk about in the sixth module with integration, is how you can feel the power of your feminine intuition being integrated into your human life, like actually leading in a way where its guidance is being actioned and implemented and put into place and voiced and put out there into the world, and created from the masculine, and you start to feel more of a integrity within yourself, right? That's what it feels like to me, is like when I let my intuition only be something on the inside, and not reflected on the outside, I feel not only that I'm not integrating, but I'm out of integrity with myself. Put a yes in the comments if you feel that way when that happens. Like, it might be that you feel something intuitively, but you don't say anything, you don't do anything about it, and then the thing, whatever it is, plays out, and then you might say to someone like, oh, I knew that, or I could have told you that, or I was going to, and they're like, yeah, but you didn't. And it hurts. It's like, yeah, I didn't. Like, I didn't integrate it. I didn't say anything. I didn't implement it. I didn't have the integrity to let what is within me, my feminine intuition, be integrated and reflected in my human life and on the outside, so to speak, right? So that's the point where you really build that like confidence in your feminine intuition, in her power, in her leadership, and knowing like, this is how I'm leading my life. And you really let it meet the masculine. That's the point where it meets the masculine, and the masculine gets to say, okay, let me serve you. Let me action these things that you're guiding, right? Put a yes if you feel like that's a really big thing for you. If you're feeling like the integration is really important for you, or if it feels like having that integrity feels like you're really desiring that, yeah. Yeah, because you can feel that difference when it's like, I knew this, but I didn't reflect it on the outside, like it didn't get integrated. That's what we're going to work on, recoding in your system so that it can feel powerful and confident and in integrity with who you really are. Yeah. The other thing, yeah, and giving yourself unconditional permission to lead from that space and really integrating it. Yeah, and so those are the main 6 areas. We're going to go much deeper into each of those areas throughout the Light Codes of Intuition. Each week we're going to go into each one of them. There's going to be the module training, the practical, tangible practices for recoding. There's going to be a light code transmission to help you with those specific light codes. Let me know in the comments, out of those 6, if there's one in particular that you feel you most desire to recode in your system. 1 or 2. Yeah, let me know which one for you. I always find it really interesting how we're all kind of at different points, or different things are more important. A lot of receptivity, yeah, and trust. Okay. Yeah, lots of receptivity and integration as well. Beautiful. Okay. So, thank you. Surrender. Yeah. I'm going to start tuning in with Spirit, and we're going to do the channeling. So they're going to bring through their guidance and their messages around, how you can get more into your feminine intuition. And as I'm bringing through that channeling, you might notice I start to move my hands. That's when the light codes are being channeled. So when this is all happening, I might sound a bit different. I might be moving around a bit. And when I'm going to have my eyes closed because I just find it easier to focus on the channeling when I have my eyes closed. And then when the light codes are coming through, just remember to open and just trust that these light codes from Spirit are coming through to land in your system, to start unlocking and activating and enhancing and expanding your feminine intuition, and that it will really prompt you to start recoding certain things throughout your day-to-day life, right? Okay, so just give me a moment to just do some breathing, let them come through, and then yeah, I'll begin. Hello. We would like to begin by helping you to remember your natural state of being in your feminine intuition, leading your soul path. Please put your hand on your heart. Feel its beat and know that it is pulsing feminine energy. It is pulsing and knowing and intuition and awareness so strong that it has the complete capacity to successfully lead you along your soul's path as you are here in the human experience. That you are built with and equipped with all of the receptors, the senses for you to be aware of this feminine intuition. You feel it in your body, you feel it in your emotions. You see it through your third eye. You hear it within. You know it. You are so intelligent, but you have been coded and conditioned to suppress that, to ignore that, or to forget that. But you are now at a point where you can consciously remember. As you remember it, you start to feel a light building within you. That light is power. Because as you remember your feminine, intuitive leadership along your soul path, this light of power enhances, builds, expands, and begins to radiate through your energetic field. And you realize that your logic, your mind, your masculine is not capable of leading your soul. You realize what it truly is, that it is there to serve at a human level, to integrate with the human experience, to take the action, to implement, to have boundaries, to honor what is coming from your feminine intuition and your soul. When you take a moment to remember this, it is so clear. You understand how much sense it makes. And you feel more aligned with who you truly are and who you truly came here to be. You feel more ease. You feel more knowing that everything will work out, that you don't have to try so hard. And now it's just recoding your system into this remembrance. The more powerfully you prioritize this, the faster this recoding will happen. The more you choose this recoding, the more you embody this recoding, the faster it happens. It does not need to take as much time as the original coding and conditioning. Time is irrelevant. Just open your energy, open your light body, open your system to receive these light codes that we are bringing through for you. Remembering that it is right here. It is right with you right now. Completely available for your receptivity. Feel them entering your system, unlocking, recoding, activating, reminding, enhancing, expanding your feminine, intuitive leadership with ease and flow and joy. Feel the righteousness of this recoding, of this remembrance, of this alignment. And just take a moment to feel that this is a sovereign decision within yourself, that it is no one else's business. No one else's opinion matters, because this is a sovereign decision within yourself, for your soul and for your human, for this path, for this lifetime. That this will assist you moving into the new paradigm of light. Giving yourself full permission we invite you to give yourself a hug. And as you hug yourself, letting your feminine intuitive leadership land within you. Taking a moment to celebrate this shift. To honor this shift. And to promise yourself that you will continue integrating this shift, this remembrance, this realignment, this recoding for your highest good. And just take some really deep breaths. Breathing into your body. You might just want to ground yourself if you feel the need. till you're ready to open your eyes. So beautiful in the comments. I'm open to receive and recode. I felt my heart beating with the light codes. Let me know how that felt for all of you. It takes a little, takes a minute for me to kind of just come back. So yeah, just let me know how that felt for you. My crown felt like it was about to burst and I kept getting shivers. Amazing, thank you. Definitely felt tingles. It felt so calming and warming, lighter. It felt little hits in different parts of my body. Surrounded by so much pink and red, and now all I want to do is listen to Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Love it. So much happened. Wonderful warm shifting. Physically felt a change in my chest and saw a beautiful vision. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful for you, Jess, like especially with that heart energy and what we've talked about previously. My hands were both pulsating and so warm, vibrational. Feels so much more lighter. Buzzing and vibrating right now. Yeah, my whole body is still like zing. The butterflies and a little giddy. My hands got warmer. I felt carefree. I felt heat. Releasing and strengthening viscerally. Hand tingled. Got from the get-go and felt light and calming. Oh, beautiful. Thank you all for receiving that. It felt really powerful, and it felt really like Spirit is just so, like they're so insistent on helping us remember this within us. I felt it in my heart space, come through my crown and land in my chest. Wow, that's so powerful. I've heard my higher self tell me that I love myself, that is no one like me, congratulating how far I've come. I've been struggling with self-love for the longest until recently. So it was a very beautiful, warm, loving feeling and message. My chest still has tingles. yeah. So, when we do finish the session, do make sure to kind of just like, if you're still feeling really kind of vibrational and tingly, like just really integrate it and ground it, Drinking lots of water helps as well to just integrate the vibrations. Yes, I feel so warm, fuzzy, and feminine as fuck. I just want to dance. Yeah. And lather myself in oil. I love you so much. Okay, beautiful. So to finish, I'm going to share with you a special offer if you feel called to join the Light Codes of Intuition. Only for you who have joined in, and then I'm also going to gift one person a space in the course. Okay. Saying felt deep, still feel it in my crown chakra. Yeah. So, if you do feel drawn to the Light Codes of Intuition, which is the full course, we will be beginning on the 11th. So it's 11th of the 1st. It's going to be for 6 weeks. Each week we go through each of those modules: the surrender, connection, receptivity, clarity, trust, and integration. We have the module training at the start of the week. There's a channeled meditation to get you into the frequency of that week's energy. And then there is a live light code transmission each week to help you specifically unlock and activate and enhance each of those areas. You can also ask Spirit questions to help each week. And yeah, it's going to be a really, really beautiful journey. I'm going to take you really deeply into your feminine intuition and feeling the power and the ease and the flow of that, and really bringing your masculine back into a space where it can just serve your soul and who you truly came here to be. So yeah, that's starting on the 11th of the 1st. It's 333 to join. Or you can do the payment plan, which is 111 to get started, and then 111 and 111. And if you do join today, I am going to give you an extra bonus. So I haven't been available for my readings for a couple months now. I've been taking a hiatus from readings, so it's not something that can be currently accessed. Usually a reading is $233 for 101, but what I am going to start offering is some intimate group readings. So you can have a ticket to join a group reading where you have like a couple of questions that you would like me to tune into with spirit upon and to receive some guidance upon. So I'm going to start offering them soon, but for the first one, those of you who sign up today, you're going to get a ticket to join one of the group reading sessions. And yeah, you'll be able to have some time with me to ask questions, for me to tune in for you, to bring through some messages from spirit. So yeah, those of you who join up today are going to get a ticket each, and that will be in a couple weeks' time. So yeah, if you want to join today, that's the bonus, but I do want to gift someone a space, right? So yeah, basically with the group reading, it'll just be a small group. I'm thinking like around 6 people per group, where I spend time, on a live Zoom call with that group, and each person gets to ask some questions. I tune in one by one for each person, right? So that's what you'll be getting a ticket to. So yeah, that's the added bonus if you join today. For the gifting, I'd just like it first if everyone could, if you could put in the chat box, obviously a yes if you would like to win, but just on the premise that you are committed to the journey, that you are wanting to show up for the sessions, you're wanting to bring lots of really positive feminine energy to the group, and that you're really going to integrate and implement the recoding. Lots of yeses, yeah. Yeah, I just want to know that it's a full yes for the person I choose to gift it to. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So it begins on the 11th of the 1st. So in a few days' time. Okay, lots and lots of yeses. All right. Yeah, so it'll be on Mondays if you're in the USA or the UK, Tuesdays if you're in Australia or New Zealand for the trainings, and then on Thursday if you're in the USA or UK, or Friday if you're in Australia and New Zealand for the channeling sessions. Okay, so what time US? So the time we started today. So if you could make it today, that's the time. Okay, so I'm just going to bring up all your profiles, your pictures, and just see who I feel drawn to. Okay. Okay. All right. So the person that has stood out for me is Debbie. Okay. So yeah, I feel like when I saw your name on the screen, that just really caught my attention, and I feel like Spirit is really like, whenever I choose a winner, Spirit's always kind of like highlighting someone or emphasizing how it would really resonate and really be aligned for this person. So congratulations to Debbie. Thank you so much for all joining in today. And like I said, if you do feel drawn to the course, you will get the bonus of getting a ticket for the group reading session before it becomes available publicly. And yeah, we'll be starting on the 11th. If you have any questions, you can just reach out to me. Debbie, make sure to just let me know which email you'd prefer to get enrolled with. Yeah, but thank you so much, everyone who joined in. Thank you so much if you watched the replay. If you are watching the replay and you're wondering about, you know, timing in terms of enrolling and getting the ticket for the group reading, just send me a message as soon as you watch this. If you'd like to enroll and you'd like to receive the ticket for the group reading, just message me. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm so happy that you enjoyed this. Okay, lots of love.